Guys, welcome to Upfront with Kaz. My name is Kaz Abrams. You may not have seen me in a number of years. The dude's been undercover. He's back. And Upfront with Kaz is a show in which I interview great minds in all fields. And essentially what I'm trying to get is strength out of struggle. How you made it through the struggle, success, highlights, and everything else. Today on the show, I welcome one of South Africa's awesome, most amazing comedians, Joey Rasdien, who's also a longtime friend. I haven't seen him in a while, but we met as he was breaking through. And over to you. So welcome to the show. How you doing?
Yes, that was like long time ago. I think we only met is because I was married to a Chinese girl and you were dating a Chinese, a Chinese girl at the time as well.
But remember, we met on the Fat Joe set.
Yeah, remember that, bruh. That time I still had an office job.
Yes. You were still asking me questions about the industry and everything.
Yeah, that time I had an office job. Yeah, I remember that. It was at Red Pepper Studios.
It was in Yeovil, so it was the launch of the building. And I had been, obviously I was friends with Fat Joe from Channel O.
Oh, that was, wait.
The new
that
set.
was at YFM.
No, in Melville.
In Melville, yeah.
And then you and I in the advert.
Yeah.
We were the bouncers.
I was the guy there, yeah. Yes, the day I remember.
The fro was massive. We were just chilling there. How you doing, bro? Long time.
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm alright. You know who got me that gig, basically? Yeah. So you know, Kagiso and David used to write for Fat Joe at the time. And yeah, and then they were like, "Nay, you must come do this thing, man." And I was like, "Are you sure, guys?" I'm like, "I don't know what's going on."
I want to talk about you and your journey through the comedian game. When was the first time you found out that, bro, I'm funny? Maybe I can do it. When is the first moment you noticed that maybe I can do this comedy thing?
Yeah, right. I can't even remember. I think it was at the Amway meeting. And I went to an Amway meeting, and then at the meeting, these guys were making pop jokes. And then I was like, nah, man. And then I went to the International Comedy Festival at, what's this place? The Civic Theatre. And David Carr was the headliner there. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, wow, nah, yeah. And he impressed me because it was like Jimmy Carr and like Phil Wilmot, like Doug Owens, big comedian. Yeah, and then David was the headliner there. And then I was like, wow, he's telling South African stories in a funny way. And then that's when I was like, yeah, no, I think I can also tell stories in a funny way.
So when was your first professional gig?
My first professional gig was probably in 2002. Yeah, 2003. Just after the Fat Joe show.
Yes.
That same year. That's actually that same year. No, the next year. The Fat Joe show was like in 2002, right? I mean, yeah, it was like 2002 when he moved from ETV to SABC. Yeah. Was like 2002, and then I got selected to perform at the Cape Town International Comedy Festival the next year.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from there it was just like lekker.
Now to be a comedian, bro, it's not easy. I mean I remember doing television and having funny moments, but whenever people told me, why don't you do stand-up? I was like, I don't know if I've got the balls to do that. You've got to be you got to know what your angle is. You know what I'm saying? There's been funny and there's been a comedian because it's timing. It's everything else. And I was listening to an interview that Eddie Murphy was doing, talking about how when they prep their sets, they got to go to a lot of small clubs to test until they finally get that set together. What's your method in getting your set together?
Probably the same, huh? Probably the same. I think I want to speak about certain concepts that's close to my heart, and then I do some sort of research on that concepts, and then I try and apply to a daily life struggle, and then you just go practice.
Yeah. Was there a moment where in the beginning where you threw something forward and it just flopped? Like
All the time.
let's just talk about the struggle before the strength. Was there a moment where you felt like maybe I shouldn't do this?
Never.
Never. So just from go it was on.
Yeah, never. Never did I ever think that, nah, never. Now, it's like, now the reasons for it is different. Because now people think that they can just say things to you. People think that they can just say, oh, Carlo Justa is there. You know, Carlo Justa. Carlo Justa is one of the, actually not one, he's actually the best bassist in South Africa. He's a bassist, and he plays for, and he's part of Mikasa actually.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the bassist of Mikasa.
Welcome everyone to the show.
So now, the thing about now, it's like I don't know, there's this negativity, there's this thing where, especially with social media, where people just feel that they can say and do whatever they want to do, and it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter. Like, I would love to do stand-up comedy and not be famous. I would love to do just what I do, and people
There's
must.
more pressure now. There's more pressure on you now.
It's not even pressure. It's not pressure. Pressure is the wrong word. Pressure is when you go kick a penalty in the World Cup.
Okay.
That's pressure. And then if you kick the penalty in, people is gonna be like, yay, well done. But now people is gonna be like, why didn't you choose the right corner? Although you scored a goal, why didn't he choose the right corner? Why did he choose the left corner? Why didn't he kick with his left foot? Yeah, he's useless. So that is that now. So that mindset now, it's like, yo, bruh. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying, and you have all the right to disagree with what people are saying, but the way you go about it, you can't just say, oh, it's my opinion. No, bruh. Opinion needs to be like scrapped from the dictionary. So you can't have, like, the word opinion needs to be scrapped from the dictionary, because opinion lack empathy. Opinion lack knowledge. Opinion lack certain facts. So if you come with facts, then it's no more opinion, then it's factual. If you come with empathy, and if you come with some sort of knowledge, then it's an observation, then it's no more opinion. So people hide behind this word opinion. The other thing is sarcasm. It's like, you can say what you want to, and if it's offensive, then it's like, oh no, I was just being sarcastic. No, bruh. It's like, it's ironic and an oxymoron that the comedian speaks about this, like these things, like, because that's what we do. We it's not like sarcastic, but we try and be what's this word, satirical. Yes. And satire is taking on a bigger power and making fun of that bigger power. Yeah. That's satire, where people try and make fun of a lesser power, and then that's bullying, basically. So yeah,
I've often found I've got a awesome respect for comedians, and at the fact that they tackle everyday situations and sort of open it up so that we can gain some form of awareness and enlightenment. You know what I'm saying? I think if you watch the best comedians, they're talking about things that are going on so people can open their minds, and those kids that can see what the angle is. Some people will always be talking, adding lip and stuff. What is your main inspiration when you write and stuff? Is it to cause social awareness, or is it just to get a laugh? Or
yeah, it's like, for me now, more importantly than at the beginning, it's like, okay, the most important thing about comedy is you have to be funny. Like, if there's no funny in it, and then you must just give up. But the most important thing is to be funny. Then the second most important thing is you have to realize that you have an influence on popular culture. Yeah. And once you realize that, then it makes you have a certain sort of responsibility. And then you have to take that responsibility seriously by trying to bring that to light. So now you have this responsibility to change popular culture or the way people see the world. And then that's a double-edged sword, because sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, there's certain people that is so attached to the way they see the world that they won't even see the knowledge behind what you're trying to explain or what you're trying to get across. And I see it with like Dave Chappelle, for instance. Like the stuff he speak about, no other comic in the world have the guts to speak about those things. Um, uh, but he built himself up a reputation, and because he left the game for like 10 years. He's like,
I mean, and when he left the game, he turned down a huge amount of money, all because
yeah,
he wanted to be the slave. He wanted to have ownership. He wanted to have
yeah.
control.
Yeah, so that's another side of the
Yeah,
business side. But I'm just speaking about
content.
the talent and the craft side. So in the craft side, he's like he speaks about stuff that is so close to the bone, so double-edged sword that you get those people that doesn't see where he's coming from, and then they'll just be hating. They'll just be like, yeah, whatever. I can't stand him. Yet for guys like me, I'm like, wow, that's a hero, because he took certain subjects and he spoke about it, and not only was it funny, it was also
Knowledgeable.
the discourse of how people see it further is totally different, and that's and that's very very very, like for instance, this hat that I'm wearing,
Yeah.
apparently they don't make this hats anymore because this Indian is cultural appropriation, because this is a cap of the Cleveland Indians, and they've been using the Indian man smiling. Yeah, so the woke people is saying no, it's cultural appropriation, and they're making fun of Indians, and the Indians was slaves, and Americans took over, which is all fair. Which is
But what
hey,
if you flip a check? What if they say, okay, so we'll give the Indian population some copyright? Those guys got a lot to pay back over there.
yeah, you
Is at
see.
a hard time also. You know?
Yeah. So they've been using this icon, this thing,
Yeah.
by somebody else's culture and making money of it. So
Okay.
the woke people is like, yeah, you see they have them, and then you get other people is like it doesn't really matter. But the history behind it is, yes, it was cowboys and Indians, and the cowboys basically took over the land of the Indians, and they're using this. So it's like in rugby, the Canterbury Crusaders.
Yeah.
Like the Crusaders is like a name that apparently stings certain people. So you can't use certain names like that as well. So yeah.
Crazy. Do you have a certain comic that inspired you when you were young that made you want to get into the game?
No, not really. However, I could see the influence they had, and that was great. Like Eddie Murphy when he came out, like
Oh,
Delirious and Bro. Yes, the day that was like,
crazy, bro. He
yeah,
was the
that was
first
like,
rock star stand-up comedian, right?
yeah, and also the stuff he spoke about, man. You like, yo, I can't believe he spoke about that. And then you must remember at that time we had like it was apartheid. So we had Schuster and MS Comics. So so our reference point of what was funny was totally different to or guys like Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor. It was totally different.
Yeah.
George Carlin, for instance, also. It's like I love listening to George Carlin and Billy Connolly. I love listening to them because they have this how can I say uh they have this pure drive to make a difference, and what they say makes a difference to a certain extent. Now Ricky Gervais is similar to
What's
that.
your perception of the local comedy scene at the moment?
My perception is that when I started, nobody thought that they could make a living from being a comedian. So when now there's a boy in grade 10 that goes, yes, I can become a comedian and I can make a living. So that has completely changed. So back in the day, we could count the comedians on
Yeah.
in on like on one hand, like
I remember when James, remember James Prevost when we started the Sprite comedy?
Yeah, Sprite
And
comedy.
we were
Like,
hustling, trying to get the shows on at Rosebank.
yeah, but that was a good thing. Like, that was when, and at that time, so, Kagiso Ladiga, David Cow, Chris Forrest, maybe, Chris Forrest, definitely,
Yeah.
John Vlismus. It wasn't,
Yeah.
as much comedians. But what I love now is that there is a whole lot of vernacular comics. There's a whole lot of Zulu comics and Xhosa comics and Tswana comics and guys that comes from that tell their stories in their own languages, and that is brilliant. And I love that. Like Mashabela, he's like brilliant. Skumba, it's like if you understand Zulu and you listen to Skumba, my God, he's the funniest thing like I've ever heard. Like, but you have to understand, you know, if you don't understand, and then he's like, oh no, you can't. But Skumba, for instance, is like brilliant. The way he thinks about the world and the way he sees the world, people can't get that value if they don't understand Zulu, for instance. So you'll only understand, you get the value if you understand the Zulu. So he's like one of the biggest comics in South Africa now, him and Mashapela. And they only mostly do vernacular comedy.
Yeah.
And that's what's changed over the years, and that's what's the great thing. There's now a bigger audience, and there's a bigger pool of comics catering to this bigger audience.
How has it been when you've had to translate the comedy into film, when you've gone into TV and movies?
Yeah, it's two different things, eh? It's
Yeah.
totally two different things. Yeah, that's why you get a comic and a comedian. A comedian is a guy that has a set, that has a show, that has stuff he speaks about. A comic is somebody that can act out stuff, like a comic actor. Like you get a comic actor and stuff. So I think in both cases, it's just to be truthful. So in comedy, I'm truthful to myself. When it's movies or TV shows, you're truthful to the character.
Yeah, because it's scripted, and you just gotta, unless you write
Yeah.
in the script, you gotta play the part.
Even if you write the script, you still write the script for the character.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
you have to be truthful. Like I'll give an example. Joe
Yeah.
on Fat Joe and Joe in real life is two different people.
Yeah.
Like it's like huge. It's like Joe in real life is one of the most sweetest, most heartwarming, most loveliest guys you've ever seen.
And when
But
camera comes on, he can be cocky as hell, eh?
but on the show, he's cocky as hell.
I know.
So that's on the show though. So he's true to his character on the show. But
Yeah.
when he's not on the show, it's a different story.
I think that's also about once you've created a brand that works, and you've got to keep on selling it. And then he's obviously created that brand that he had to run through it.
Yeah, but there's a difference between knowing stuff and being cocky. Like
Yeah.
if you know stuff, then you're not cocky. Then you have knowledge to back it up. But if you just say things just because to be an asshole, then that's cockiness. Because you know there's lots of people that say things and then because they think they know things and they have this opinion or whatever, and that's cockiness. But if you say certain things and you backed up with information and facts, then it's not cocky. Then it's just like you being true to your character.
How do you deal with the haters? Let's say you're live on stage and someone's throwing smack at you. Is that an awesome opportunity?
That's hecklers. So with experience, you learn. Like when you just started off, it was irritating to me. When I just started off, it was bad. It was like, yeah, it threw you off, but now the more experience you get, it becomes comedy gold because you have now more information, you have more experience, you have more, so you know how to deal with the situation. You see, because people, it's either fight or flight.
Yeah.
Like if you threatened, it's either fight or flight. Similarly with comedy, it's either fight or flight. But then you get experience. And then you go, but I'm not afraid of the snake now. I'm going to catch the snake. So with experience that comes.
Awesome. Now, let's talk about the lockdown. I mean, it's also Ramadan. So how is this for you, being on lockdown and Ramadan? Is it actually working out okay because you're staying at home and makes it a bit easier?
I love lockdown.
Eh?
I love the lockdown. I love the lockdown completely. The lockdown is like one of the best things that happened. Um, I love not being able to be answerable to people. You can now with confidence say, stay there, please. I don't want to take a photo,
No
or
one
please
can
don't
get
come
credit.
close. It's like social distancing is like the best thing. So that's the one thing. The other thing is like, because there's no school, I have to be teaching my children myself. So that is a cool thing, that because you become closer to your kids.
Oh, yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
yes, and then they also see a side of you that they haven't seen before. Oh, like my father actually knows some stuff about school.
Yeah.
So that is the other thing that I really like, the school thing. And yeah, like and I've always been on my own. Like I never liked going out. Kaz, like since forever. I get invited to stuff and people's like, no. I don't know why I'm actually doing this. Normally I would say no to stuff like this.
But that's because normally you know where I come from, and we come from the same place.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah. Eish,
So I
we
love that about lockdown.
yeah, yeah. Me too. I gotta say, it's like it's giving me an opportunity to do things that I procrastinated about, for a long
Uh,
time. And
uh,
especially because now it's not like you're getting paid to do something. You're like, okay, what would I really want to do?
uh,
That's the
uh,
perfect time to like test stuff like this out. Who do I want to talk to?
uh.
You know, not who am
Yes,
I forced to talk to. On that subject, I wanted to know how you react to, when you're in public,
yeah.
people catch you
Hmm,
unawares. You could be having a cuck mood, bro, a cuck morning. They're like, hey, what's up? You gotta now, they expect you to be that funny guy. How do you
uh.
deal with that?
Yeah, I can't. I lose patience. Eh? But I've learned over the years to become more kind, because everybody's in a struggle. So you don't know why that person is doing what they're doing. So you try and show empathy and you try and understand why. But more often than not, in the past, maybe 3 years, because of the woke people, it's like this thing called gaslighting. I don't know if you know what's gaslighting, or if they ask you like these stupid questions, not to get an answer,
Just
but
to stir.
yeah, to stir. And it's like, nah, that's unnecessary. I don't want to be involved in those things. So, um, so in general, like it depends. If I'm with my kids, I can be a doer. Like if you ask me for a picture and I'm with my kids, it's very rare that I'm gonna say yes. But if I'm alone and I'm at the gig, and after the gig you want, that's fine. But
Yeah.
if I'm with my kids and we in Rosebank and we want to go eat something, don't now come think that you own me, and if I say no, then you must go write bad things about me. It happens all the time. It happens, especially amongst the Muslim community. It's like you go to Rosebank to Spur, and then you want to have a nice meal, sit down, and then some other girls that they feel that I have to take pictures with them for their Instagram profile. And then
Yeah.
you're like, no, brah, like I'm with my kids. And the next thing you know, they will write bad stuff about you. It's like, and then it makes them feel good. It's fine.
Crazy.
So,
Yeah, on that, so how has it felt being, being being a Muslim and being a comedian at the same time? Have you ever done things that have gone too far that have like
yes,
yeah?
yes, I've got death threats already. Death
What?
threats and fatwas and stuff. Yeah, like bad, bruh. Like it was bad. And then another thing is, it's like, so you can't, everybody's got information, right? You read this information. So you can't make up your own mind about the information that you have. Because if you make up your own mind about this information that you have, and it goes against what they think you should say, then you somehow either disbeliever, or you this, or you that, or you, and then they tag you with a name. And that is so unfortunate. That is like so barbaric, actually. It's
Yeah.
like, it's barbaric. For instance, um, they want to open a mosques, for instance. Like if the Prophet was alive, you wouldn't have. Like if you really know the history and you know your Quran, you would have known that That's not the cool thing to do. But in any case, I am not a mufti. I'm just a comedian, and so I keep to myself. Now I have my things, but on especially on a comedy stage, I won't speak about that anymore. But I have proper my belief structure is solid in when it comes to that. And there'll be other ways to influence people as to how they need to go do their own research. And because cognitive dissonance is real. Cognitive dissonance, basically, if somebody comes with a new set of information that disproves the beliefs that you have all these years, your brain and your heart can't handle the two. And then you become angry. Then it's fight, and you feel threatened. And when people feel threatened, it's like aggressiveness come out. And that's just human nature. Instead of going, oh wow, why did Galileo Galilei said the world is round instead of flat? At the time, people was like, he's a heretic. How can he say that?
Bro.
How can he say that? But they didn't know. But now it's proven that the world is round. But there's still people that believe that the world is flat.
Did you see that the whole community that believe in the flat earth?
Yeah.
They got a whole movement going, bro.
Yeah. You see, so you can't really you also the street light effect. People tend to get the information from the easiest source, and it's easiest believable. So you go Google something. You're not gonna go to page 10 of Google. You're gonna stay on page 1. Yeah. But on page 1, everything is basically fake news, and then you start to believe that fake news. And that is and then that's the streetlight effect, and then it skews the whole thing. That's why Trump won. That's why Trump is there in America, and he's like doing things, and the world is going, yo, I can't believe the Americans voted for that guy. In the meantime, if you go to Texas, the streetlight effect is in full swing there, because they get the information from its easiest source, and that information more often than not is fake information, and then they believe it, and then they go, the world is just jealous. So
it's like with everything, I think you gotta just dig a bit deeper. And I think when you come, like some of us that come from mixed backgrounds, we've had to settle it with at an earlier age, discover the whole of a second. Let's say, for example, I'm half Catholic, half Muslim. You know how hectic that was, bro.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I know. But then that's back then. So now things evolved a bit. I don't know if you get older. When you get older, you just don't take everything at face value. Yeah. So like you don't take it at face, and then you go do your own research, and then you go, oh wow, that was actually a lie all this time, and people believe it. And yeah, that's an unfortunate thing about. It's not an unfortunate thing. I think what needs to happen is there's just a lack of empathy in the world right now. Just like the people don't mind their own business, but it's also how
they were raised as well.
Out there. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, as a parent, each day as a parent, you see your own, I call it sins of the father sometimes. Some of the things that you didn't know any better. You'll be saying stuff, you'll be like, but that's not me. Oh shit, that's what I was taught. I didn't even think was wrong at the time. But when the thing is,
you know what that's called?
As well.
You know what you just described now? You know what's it called?
Yeah.
It's called generational trauma. The same way you get genes passed on to you from your family, like, you're going to get curly hair, you're going to get straight hair, you're going to get blue eyes, you're going to get a big nose. All those things is hereditary. Similarly, generational trauma is also hereditary. And so we act a certain way because subconsciously we've been taught to act that way. And we need to challenge that generational trauma. We need to understand that this is my triggers. So this trigger, like for instance, I look at my daughter and I go, yo, if my mom was alive and hear my daughter speaking to me the way she's speaking to me, she'll be like, you have a rude child. In the meantime, I don't think he's a rude child. I think it's nice to have your own
Confident,
opinion.
he's honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's nice to be honest. It's nice to be confident. It's nice. It's gonna help you in future. But there's a fine line, because now you're confident and you honest, but then there has to still be empathy. There still has
Yes.
to be empathy. And what happens more often than not is out it's a difficult way to uh, try and explain to kids that what you're doing is not empathetic, but they feel that they're doing the right thing, and that's where the wokeness came up. So everybody that's so woke, they unempathetic, basically.
Yeah, and I think the clarification there is there's supposed wokeness, and then there's true enlightenment.
That
And true
comes
enlightenment
with
knows,
age.
and true enlightenment knows that you know nothing because every day you
Yeah,
learn something new. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like bow down.
yeah. That comes with age, though. That comes with
Right.
going through stuff in your life. That comes with age. That comes with certain obstacles and how you overcome that obstacles. That comes with those things. So a person that didn't go through obstacles and didn't understand that there's certain things that you being down low. Yeah, it's like, no. Whereas a person has gone through these obstacles won't just blab out their opinion, or they won't even use an opinion. They won't blab up their observation. They'll just be calm and be like, okay, and spoken when and then speak when they're spoken to. Not in this day and age, bro. Yeah. Mm, mm, mm,
This,
mm,
this social media, bro. It's like, how do we use these tools? Because technology has advanced at such a rapid rate. How do we
mm.
use it to our advantage so that we can push out as much positivity as possible? I mean, because you said the one angle is everyone's quick to have a
Mm,
comment.
mm,
So how can
mm.
we use it to motivate as much
It
awareness?
depends. It also it depends on the type of person you are. I guess there's like other people that loves being in the limelight,
Yeah.
and other people that just live for the limelight. That's where influences come from. And then there's other people that don't like the limelight, but their job unfortunately demands them to be in the limelight. That's why there's lots of people that just left the entertainment industry. Lauren Hill, for instance, is a great example.
Well, look
She
at
just
me.
wanted,
I
huh?
stepped away for a
Yeah,
long
like
time.
that.
It became
Dave
too hectic,
Chappelle,
bro.
for that. It's like you just want to do your own thing,
Yeah.
and you just want to not be. But I love comedy so much, I can't just leave. You know, so you have to navigate
Yeah.
that field full of thorns, because that's what it really is. It's like a field full of thorns, and you're not gonna run through that field. There's other people that love the thorns, and they just want they. And I'm not one of those people.
You
So
know,
yeah.
I think comedy is such an amazing, powerful tool to heal people and to help people face a lot of things that they've been ignoring. You know what I'm saying? Because we can
Mm,
only grow once we face the
mm,
negatives and positives and everything else.
mm.
What's the next plan for Joey? What are your hopes after the lockdown? Are you planning anything?
Uh, there's like 3 movies releasing that I've been in, hopefully.
And let's talk about them. Let's talk about them a bit. Give them a shout out.
Uh, the first one that's gonna release is Material 2, the Material
Oh,
2,
nice.
a follow-up of Material. Then there's a movie called Barakat. That's
Okay.
a brilliant movie. Actually, now after lockdown, it's gonna be so nice because it's a movie about family, and it's
Yeah.
a movie about how there is more often than not, trials and tribulations within a family. And so that movie is gonna release. And then there's another movie called Karl Gat Karel that I play a small role in. That's gonna release, and then hopefully, Blitz Patrol did really well on Netflix. So Netflix wants us to do a follow up to Blitz Patrol. So we'll see how that goes.
That sounds so awesome. So like, just on that
Mm.
point, because we're talking about Netflix, and they've obviously given comedians and other artists an opportunity to develop and form
mm,
partnerships, your own content. How is
mm, mm.
Netflix here in South Africa? Are they giving you the guys opportunity to, and are they fair as far as um,
I don't know.
ownership
I'm
and
not.
stuff?
I'm not involved there.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not. That's business side. So I don't know how that contracts and stuff work. Absolutely not. That is totally out of my expertise. So I'm not there. I just see, oh wow, I'm on Netflix. So, oh wow, oh wow, I'm on Showmax. It's not. Yeah, I don't worry about those things, man. Because you get what you know. It's so uitgesit for you, man.
Yeah.
You know, like that's how what I believe in. Mm.
How important is it to have good representation as far as management and
Oh,
this?
that's very important.
Yeah.
Yo, that's very important. I've been lucky enough to be with
Yes.
one person my entire career, Auntie Jane. And everybody in the industry know Auntie Jane. Jenny Bialseki. I've been with her my entire career. And yeah, if it wasn't for her, yes, I probably would have gone mad. Because she puts things in perspective. And you need somebody good in your corner, man. And she's been great for me in my corner.
Joe, I don't want to keep you much longer, but I would like you to
Yes, sir.
ask you to give the people out there one last, just a bit of words of wisdom as far as how to make it through the situation and come out with strength through the struggle.
I just, everything everybody says. It's not a cliche. It's actually in the Bible. What you read, you sow what you reap. Ne? You reap what you sow. So you reap what you sow, right? And if you make an investment, then you expect a return on that investment, right? So lockdown. What is our return on investment for this lockdown? Firstly, that was to flatten the curve. So the return on investment for us being in lockdown was to flatten the curve. That's the first thing. The second thing is you personally. What type of return of investment do you want for yourself as a person? And it came out like in Cape Town, for instance. I can't believe people is comparing not being able to surf to apartheid. I can't believe people is comparing not being able to buy smokes to apartheid. Like you haven't lived there. I've lived there. Like I'm old enough. I've seen it. I've seen when I was like my daughter's age, we were in a state of emergency and the mellow yellow was up and down every single day. You couldn't even go visit your cousin in your next street. And there wasn't a virus. Everybody was healthy.
Yeah.
So you couldn't even go to school properly. So you can't compare that. So that showed up. Privilege showed up. Self-righteousness showed up. Lack of empathy showed up during this lockdown and throughout South Africa, especially Cape Town, unfortunately. So what you as a person, as a return of investment, is how can I be after we come out from here? You can't. There's people that's poor.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that's poor. We have to try and do something for the people that's poor. If you're not doing anything already, you don't have to go out on social media and saying, "Oh, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing." Nah, just a bikkie here and a bikkie there, bikkie there. So that's for you as a person. Your in return of investment as a person. Are you going to be closer to your family or further to your family? Because now you haven't seen your mother or your sister for so long. Yeah, are you gonna come out and appreciate the fact that now I'm gonna go see them? So all those things, I think, yeah, lekker,
This, my brother.
stop.
Peace.